This episode is super fun. One of my founding members of the Influence Army was asking me about some podcast booking companies, effectively some of the competition, and I gave her this answer, and I love it because it really sheds a light on how we are different, how we're literally a different vehicle than your standard podcast booking agency or your PR booking agency. And I get to riff on the idea of throwing rocks at your enemies. Enjoy this episode. You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
Okay, so yeah, these two ladies are interesting to me. I studied their stuff for a little bit, joined their email list, dug deep in their funnels, studied their, what are called VSLs, video sales letters, that were on their funnels, on their marketing chains. And one thing that struck out at me was that their testimonials, their customer stories were kind of weak and they were old. And I was like, this is interesting. And just as a thing. And that doesn't mean that they don't have plenty of news stories and that they aren't helping new people. But I was very struck by the dated stories. So just a takeaway there. It's a great reminder for me and you and all of us that get updated stories as we're going along. What was the other thing that really jumped out? They pay a lot for advertising. So they're building their business through advertising, like Facebook ads and things like that. And then I did a little searching, about how are they putting themselves out there, and it's not that much. It was just interesting, and that could be that they're at a mature cycle in their business, so they don't need to. But I thought this is very interesting, and I also, it's interesting. It's very, I don't know what to say. Like, they've got their market, and I love it, and they're clearly doing well with. How do I want to say this? Actually, I don't know if they're doing well, but the appearance kind of is there. What am I trying to say? My mission relative to theirs, one thing to be learned from them for sure is like, at some point with me, it's like, oh yes, I can offer a done for you service, right? Where I'm like, hey, I'll get you on the perfect podcasts and all these sorts of things. But I think what they're missing that I really is so impassioned to me is, the action of you and I and everyone in our membership doing the work that we're doing to put ourselves out there, to create that energy, to really focus on our missions and moving from that space of love is going to create so much massive opportunity. It is creating opportunity already for all of us. Like Carissa's like, this is crazy. And other people have texted me, or, you obviously clearly right away had some opportunities to serve Carissa. And there's just going to be so much of that momentum that's going to come to us outside of like just speaking on a podcast, right? There's going to be the direct correlation of us, speaking on a podcast. People will hear us, they'll click into our landing pages, get our lead magnets, and they'll go through this process that we're creating. But there's so much other stuff that's going to be happening because of the energy and the work and how we're putting ourselves out there that's going to come to us, if that makes sense. yeah, I'm so excited for what we're creating here. I just say that because there's a bunch of these podcast booking services, right? These like PR style agencies, and they're so benign. That's the only thing I can tell you. I see what they're doing, and I'm like, it's benign. It's sterile. It's like blah. You know what I mean? I'm like so excited for what we're doing because I feel like I'm just excited for the way I'm bringing it to market. These other people with what they're doing, I'm sure they feel the same way in the way they're doing it, but you can tell me your thoughts. Okay, there's this idea of throwing rocks at your enemies, right? In the internet marketing space that we're doing, the idea of throwing rocks at your enemies, right? And so like Vishan for you, like he's the enemy, right? But let's just follow me for this, right? We actually don't want enemies. We're coming from a space of abundance and love, right? So let's, and I finally have had a big breakthrough on this because I'm like, this idea of this competition is a zero-sum game, zero-sum mentality. It's a lack mentality, right? And so I've been contemplating this, meditating on this for a bunch. And it really just solidified for me today. It's like, okay, there's all these other podcast host companies like, or will get you on the podcast booking services. And there's obviously PR services, right? And so most of the marketing I see that they do is very benign. I've already said that, but it's, and there's tons of ways for me to throw rocks at them, or even better to say how I'm not in alignment or how I'm just different, right? Like, hey, if you want to use those services, by all means, please do, right? But we're different because we're 100% organic marketing certified. And I'm going to create a badge for that, Stacy. Organic marketing certified, 100%. And because I'm committed to blowing up and growing what we're doing without ads, right? It's all going to be through guesting and growing and networking and all that. And I just think the ad culture is so toxic. Oh my gosh, this is a great way that I'm saying this stuff. It's good for me to start talking it out. So that's what it is. The ad culture is toxic. I'm going to have to write that one down too. But anyway, so, how is Vishan different, right? Like they're doing cool stuff and you're like, ooh, I can aspire to that. So I'd say the same with these podcast booking agencies. It's like, ooh, I want to aspire to that. But how am I different? How am I a new vehicle, right? And not better, different. Anytime we're better, faster, greater. No, we're different. We're not the same. We're not in the same league. I don't know if that makes sense. Just stuff to think about. There you go. There's my riff for today. Voxer.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.